Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
They see the science, they see the potential.
Trying to save the herd, high-ranking officials in the Trump administration voiced their support for hundreds of BC ostriches ordered killed because of avian flu concerns. Plus,
if you're looking for a really good deal, but in a really gritty area, we have a listing on Main and Hastings.
a real estate agent embraces the challenges of a neighborhood to try to make a sale. Did it work? And
the true north is indeed strong and free.
King Charles delivers an historic speech from the throne. What do Canadians think?
I don't particularly care for the monarchy.
I was impressed and moved by the fact that he was so inclusive.
I didn't know there was a king of Canada.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. An embattled BC ostrich farm is getting a boost in support from some big names south of the border. As Brady Strachan reports, high-ranking officials in the Trump administration have met with Canadian staff and asked them to save the birds.
This letter from U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. lays out the United States argument for saving 400 BC ostriches from a cull order. It's the latest development in the case of the Universal Ostrich Farm, which is facing a call by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency because avian flu was detected on the farm last December. In the letter, Secretary Kennedy asked the president of the CFIA not to cull the flock of ostriches because the U.S. believes there may be significant value in studying this population for insights into immune longevity associated with the H5N1 virus, which causes avian flu. The letter is signed by Kennedy as well as the director of the National Institutes of Health and the commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration. The ostrich farm near Edgewood has attracted attention from around the world for its fight to save their birds from the cull, with supporters from across Canada joining the farmers on their property to protest the order and asking the CFIA to retest the flock for the disease. A few months ago, the story caught the eye of U.S. billionaire John Catsimatidis, who hosts a radio show in New York. He spoke to Kennedy in April.
Ostriches in Canada, where these are ancient animals and they have a natural healing process, antibiotics in their eggs.
Along with Kennedy, Catsimatidis is leading an effort of influential Americans to save the ostriches that now includes Dr. Mehmet Oz, the former TV host, and now also a member of the U.S. administration.
Test them. They deserve, they're iconic animals. They deserve to live if they have antibodies and can be good for humanity.
Catsimatidis says he's spoken to Ontario Premier Doug Ford and former Prime Minister Stephen Harper about the ostriches. And Dr. Oz has pledged to open up his ranch in Florida to give the birds sanctuary. The owners of the farm say they won't be taking him up on that offer, but they welcome the support.
They see the science, they see the potential. And how are we about to eradicate that?
Despite pressure from U.S. officials and billionaires, the federal government says it has a duty to protect Canadians from the spread of avian flu. And the Canadian Food Inspection Agency says it will not retest the flock and it plans to proceed with the cull. This all might end up in court, however, as the farm has filed an appeal to an earlier court ruling that ordered the cull. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Kelowna.
A controversial supportive housing project bid for Vancouver's west side has now lost the backing of the mayor. Earlier this year, Ken Sim paused net new supportive housing in the city. But as Renee Lucas reports, he said he wouldn't get in the way of projects already slated.
The Kitsilano Coalition for Children and Family Safety is celebrating a win against a supportive housing project it didn't want in its neighborhood, alleging the process to approve it was improperly done.
We're pleased that the city has finally recognized that the public hearing that was done to rezone this site was fatally flawed and was not conducted in accordance with the Vancouver Charter.
The dispute goes back 3 years when council approved the development after a lengthy public hearing. Unhappy with the move, neighbors of the site around West 8th and Arbutus took the city to court. While the suit moved through the court system, the city requested and got new legislation from the province to keep the project moving forward. But the Kitsilano Coalition appealed it. saying the new bill was unconstitutional, and they won. The city's current mayor wasn't in office when the supportive housing was approved. Now, though, Mayor Ken Sim agrees with the coalition's protest, saying it's clear this location wasn't the right fit for the scale and type of housing that was proposed. Not everyone on council agrees.
We need to be showing leadership to solve the homelessness crisis. We need to be working with every level of government and across the region, but we also need to take responsibility for what we can do in the City of Vancouver.
Meanwhile, there are people in Kilauea who welcomed the project.
I've been houseless in my own life, so it's really hard when you're contained to a certain area in the city to get out of that lifestyle. So when I first saw that the project was going to be here, I was really, really excited.
I was supportive, I still am, of as much social housing as possible in the city. I think there are all these empty lots around the city that should be put to better use.
Yeah, well, it's disappointing because we know there's people right now in that community sleeping in encampments, sleeping in parks.
BC Housing Minister Ravi Kahlon says it's unfortunate the city made the decision to ditch the development, and his ministry will be looking for other opportunities within the community. Renee Lucas, CBC News, Vancouver.
Still with housing, what does it take to sell a condo in the heart of the downtown east side? As Shivani Joshi explains, one real estate agent went viral online for what she says is telling the truth.
If you're looking for a really good deal, but in a really gritty area, we have a listing on Main and Hastings, right across the street from the safe injection site.
Real estate agent Darcy Schlettliner didn't shy away from the reality of her new post. Instead, she leaned into it, pitching a 3-condo home across from the downtown east side supervised drug consumption site as a sale for a, quote, brave buyer.
So we decided we were going to embrace the limitations and not sugarcoat the listing whatsoever, because obviously anyone who comes here is going to see the neighborhood, and it may not be for everybody.
Her transparency paid off. The video blew up, and it wasn't all good news.
We had 14,500 shares. We had over 1,200 comments, majority of them negative.
But the place sold in just 9 days. Despite the negative feedback, the attention drew interest. Others in the industry say it was a unique approach.
I thought it was very honest, and I actually shared it with a group of colleagues. So I thought leaning into it, it should come as no surprise that when people show up at the door, they know exactly where they're going.
You have laminate floors, fresh paint, feature wall.
A surprising quick sale in a market that slowed down, with more supply than demand in the face of high interest rates and global uncertainty, leaving the ball in the buyer's court.
It's not just that prices have fallen, they've fallen a little bit, but buyers have a lot more breathing room. It's probably a much more pleasant experience to shop for a home now than it was, say, 3 or 4 years ago.
But Scalina adds the biggest risk is making generalizations about the market as a whole.
There are certain submarkets that are outperforming the rest of the market. So having a good understanding of which submarket you're in can go a long way.
It's a reminder that while market trends matter, pricing, timing, and transparency still plays a huge role in what's bought and sold.
I'm a true advocate of the truth, right? You're going to come here, go to the open house, and perhaps be horrified outside anyways. Right, so I figured if we showed the safe injection site, we showed the graffiti, we showed people camping on the streets, and we just let people know, this is not for you.
This real estate agent shows that a little transparency might be what it takes to close the deal. Shivani Joshi, CBC News, Vancouver.
Police are sharing the name and photo of a young man they say was stabbed to death at Abbotsford's Larch Park over the weekend. Homicide investigators have identified the victim as 15-year-old Billy Ledoux. They say they're sharing his name and image to try to advance their investigation. Ledoux was found with life-threatening injuries on Sunday night and later died. They say 2 other teens who were arrested have now been released and were not responsible for his stabbing. Anyone in or around Larch Park between 6:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. or who has dash cam footage from that area on that Sunday is asked to contact the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team. King Charles delivered the speech from the throne to officially open Parliament in Ottawa. It touched on Canada-U.S. relations and this country's place on the world stage as a sovereign nation. Lindsay Duncombe went to ask Canadians how they feel about the monarchy right now.
At this Downton Abbey-themed floral exhibit,
we're going British style.
enthusiastic support for King Charles.
I'm proud and happy that he's here. He is showing the world that we're still united, we're connected.
Cornelia Van Keith woke up at 6 a.m. to watch the throne speech.
He is part of our heritage. I was impressed and moved by the fact that he was so inclusive, you know, with respect to the First Nations, and he was speaking French.
Perhaps that's not surprising given the theme of this event, but recent polling shows the royal visit might not be everyone's cup of tea.
I don't particularly care for the monarchy. I feel like it's kind of outdated. We don't really need it anymore. I mean, I didn't know there was a king of Canada.
Angus Reid Institute asked Canadians, what is your reaction to the king giving the throne speech? 83% said indifferent.
It's less that people are hostile and more that they've just got other things going on in their lives.
People who want to see Canada break from the monarchy say inviting the king decreases Canada's international clout.
I mean, we're telling Donald Trump, you're not the foreign billionaire who's our boss. This is the foreign billionaire who's our boss.
When it comes to Charles himself, though, there's some indication Canadians are warming up. A recent poll found 45% of Canadians had a positive or somewhat positive view of the king. That's up 8 points since he took the throne.
I think he's amazing. I think better than I thought he would be.
Exceeding expectations, then, at least for those paying attention to the pomp, ceremony, and circumstance. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
More than 15,000 people from 120 countries are expected in Metro Vancouver this week. As the CBC's Chad Pawson tells us, it's for the first ever North American Web Summit.
Entrepreneurs, innovators, and business leaders in Surrey here for a big week for tech in the region.
We are excited to talk about new innovation and new opportunities for our city.
BC leaders want tech companies in their cities because they're good employers doing cutting-edge work that's in demand across the globe. A big opportunity for that will be here at Vancouver's Convention Centre, where the first of 3 yearly Web Summits will be held, bringing in tech innovators, startups, and investors to Vancouver. Local leaders say it's a chance to showcase BC.
I think what's well known about the province of British Columbia and Vancouver is our natural beauty, and it's a great place to live and come and visit. But I think what's less known is how much innovation is happening here in our region and across the province.
BC's high-tech sector is no slouch. It's the fastest-growing industry in the province, with 12,000 companies, 220,000 employees, and $55 billion in yearly revenue. One of those is Savante Technologies, a CO2 capture company based in Burnaby. Its founder says being successful in tech in Metro Vancouver is possible because of some regional advantages.
Companies have a real advantage here because of the talent that's available. We have wonderful universities here that we can draw from.
I work in the field of artificial intelligence.
Surrey-based Gurpreet Kalsi says the same. He directs a BC-based AI wing of the Japanese multinational company Fujitsu.
We are actually developing offerings in Vancouver for our global customers, and we are actually accelerating to become a North American Center of Excellence for AI and AI hub for Fujitsu in North America.
So, as the tech world comes here to Vancouver, locals say they're ready to use the Web Summit as a launch pad for their innovation, that having international investors here to partner with will help strengthen BC's reputation as a leading hub for entrepreneurship and technology. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Darius Madavi is here for our first look at the weather, and the fire map is out.
That's right. Remaining high fire danger down in the southern interior for now, and remaining, of course, high to extreme fire danger up in the northeast, which really hasn't changed at all recently. This is largely because temperatures are rising not just here, but across Western Canada. That will continue over the next couple days as well. We'll talk more about that later in the show. Dan, but in the meantime, expect a hot, dry, sunny day tomorrow.
Okay, we've been warned. Thanks, Darius.
Thank you.
A new study suggests Vancouver is one of the happiest cities in North America. But is the ranking on the money? Justin McElroy will break it down next.
I think it's important to give a human face to the stories that we hear every day, the people that they affect. And I think talking to those people is what really gives us the true sense of the impact of the stories that we're hearing.
Kilauea volcano on Hawaii's Big Island is erupting again, shooting lava over 300 meters into the sky, and rare display of sustained lava fountaining. As Johanna Wagstaff explains, this kind of eruption isn't just dramatic, it's a gold mine for scientists.
Look at this. That's Hawaii's Kilauea volcano, spewing lava over 300 meters into the sky, almost the height of the Eiffel Tower. But don't worry, no one is in direct danger because of this volcano. In fact, what's happening here is actually pretty exciting for a couple of reasons. First off, Kilauea on the Big Island is one of the most active volcanoes on Earth. It's been erupting on and off for decades. But here's what's fascinating. These eruptions are non-explosive. They don't violently blow up with a bang, so scientists can get surprisingly close and stay on top of any public hazards. That, combined with the continuous lava ooze, makes Kilauea the perfect natural laboratory for volcanologists. They can study how lava flows, how gas escapes, and how the ground shifts, all in real time. This kind of access is rare for active volcanoes. Also cool, these eruptions are literally building new land. When the lava enters the ocean, it cools fast and hardens, creating new coastlines. Since the 1980s, it's added hundreds of acres to the island. This is how the entire Hawaiian island chain was formed. A powerful reminder that Earth's surface is always changing.
Despite what some Vancouverites may say about living in this expensive city, a new report shows there are plenty of reasons to be happy. The 2025 Happy City Index has ranked Vancouver the happiest city in North America. Justin McElroy now, but the weights and measures used to come to that conclusion.
When you think about Vancouver, there are certain things that immediately come to mind. The rain, the nature, the skyline. But happiness? Maybe not so much. A decade ago, Statistics Canada ranked Vancouver last out of the country's 33 largest cities for happiness. Vancouver's reputation for being hard to make friends was big enough to get international attention. And just last year, people here reported a lower life satisfaction than the rest of the province. But what if all of that has changed? What if Vancouver is happy?
Today, in Happy City Index Gold Cities profiles, we're turning our spotlight on Vancouver, one of the world's most forward-thinking and livable cities.
This month, the Happy City Index ranked 200 cities across the world and got a lot of attention for its conclusions. And at number 11, the happiest city in North America? That's right, it's us. Vancouver is happier than anywhere else on this continent, at least based on this report. But if you actually read the report, it helps explain both Vancouver's high ranking and why some people are skeptical of that very same ranking. Because they didn't ask locals how they felt, but instead measured 82 different things across the world in 26 categories and 6 themes. So for example, availability of green space was 4.4%, education was 8.7%, GDP 4.8%. But housing affordability, the subject that has dominated this city for a decade, that's just worth 5.4% of what makes a city happy. The same amount, and I am not making this up, as whether there are enough electronic payments for public transportation or the amount of open data sets available for the public.
The city makes transparency a priority, offering 191 public data sets through its open data platform.
And look, that's great, but nobody really cares about 191 open data sets or a compass card if you can't afford to pay rent. Here's a chart. The annual report by Demographia measures median house prices to median income in 95 major cities, and there, fourth from the bottom, is Vancouver. So what does this happiness report tell us? Well, on the surface and in the statistics, there is still so much to love about Vancouver, and how that contrasts with how people feel continues to fuel much of the tension in this city. But two, if you're going to care about rankings, a solid rubric is just as important as a roof over your head. Justin McElroy, CBC News, Vancouver.
A look at the day that was in Port Alberni. The morning cloud clearing in the afternoon and the top of the inlet. The city is usually on the hot spot on the island, and Darius will break down how hot it's going to get in your BC-wide forecast coming up.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and this is your CBC Inbox. CBC celebrates Asian Heritage Month through the language of movement, where every step tells a story. Throughout the month of May, we're shining a spotlight on Asian dance groups, showcasing the dynamic blend of classical, folk, and contemporary dance forms. These talented dance groups share their cultural heritage through stories and traditions, knowledge and technique. Read and watch their stories at cbc.ca/bc.
Doris Madavi is here with our BC-wide weather forecast, and we're turning toasty.
That's right. Weather might seem calm, but there's still a lot to talk about as those temperatures climb, especially into tomorrow, jumping up quite considerably across much of the region. Look at all that orange that just popped up in the interior. Temperatures getting up to 30 degrees in places like Abbotsford, inland Metro Vancouver, close to it in places like Nanaimo, Port Alberni. But with that humidex, add another 4 or 5, feeling another 4 to 5 degrees even warmer. So again, feeling close to 35 in Abbotsford, feeling close to 30 here in Vancouver, even by the water. So toasty day that quickly drops again as we get into Thursday. Cold front sweeps through, drops those temperatures, brings us a little bit of rain, but it's pretty short-lived. Most places, we start to see it tomorrow afternoon, evening, up in the North Island, coming down to the West Coast sound by tomorrow night. Overnight, most places getting that rain. Here in Vancouver, probably lingering into Thursday morning as some showers, but we clear up pretty fast. As early as tomorrow, probably around noon, just after noon, we should be seeing sunny skies again. So that's moving through really fast, but the temperature drop will definitely be felt, especially if you're out in the evening. Here are highs today. Look at the interior tomorrow, jumping up. Kamloops almost 35, Kelowna 30, parts of the southeast, the boundary region reaching into the low to mid 30s as well. Into Thursday, again, temperatures drop as we see that system roll through, and we can actually watch it roll through here as well. Unfortunately, not as much precipitation as we'd like to see in places like the southern interior and especially up in the northeast, especially because it comes with a risk of thunderstorms on Thursday in the southern interior, maybe the central interior, and definitely the southeast as well. Not likely to see thunderstorms up in the northeast, though, on Thursday, which is a little bit of good news. But again, hot and dry tomorrow, unsettled thunderstorm risk coming on Thursday. Here's our 5-day forecast, Dan, more or less just what we talked about. But the weekend, a little bit cooler than I'd like to see, but, you know.
We may enjoy that at that point.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks, Doris.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us on CBC Vancouver News. You can watch this newscast on our free app, CBC Gem, as well as on YouTube. And of course, our website, cbc.ca/bc. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. That starts tomorrow morning at 5:30. Janella Hamilton and Michelle Gassou will be in the chair for the rest of the week. Take care.